The garage door slammed shut behind me, and I heard the lock click. Rain pounded against the tin roof. Mom had just thrown a threadbare blanket at my 15-year-old body and said those words that would echo in my head for years: "You're old enough to have your own space out here." The smell hit me first. Motor oil, gasoline, and something musty that made my nose burn. My bed was an old couch with springs poking through torn fabric. Boxes of Christmas decorations towered around me. I pressed my ear to the door, hoping this was some cruel joke. Instead, I heard her voice, crystal clear, talking on the phone in the kitchen. "That'll teach him to be ungrateful," she laughed. "Maybe sleeping with the rats will fix his attitude." My stomach dropped. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't punishment for breaking curfew or talking back. This was my new reality. I pulled the thin blanket over my shivering body and stared at the ceiling. Water dripped through a rusty spot above my head, landing with a steady plop plop plop. That night, as mice scurried across the concrete floor, I made a promise to myself. Someday, somehow, I would make her understand what she'd done. Morning came with the sound of bacon sizzling. Through the small garage window, I could see into our kitchen. Mom was making breakfast for my younger brother Joe, humming like nothing had happened. My old chair at the table was gone. I knocked on the door connecting the garage to the house. No answer. I knocked harder. "Mom, can I come in for breakfast?" The kitchen went quiet. Then I heard her footsteps approaching. The door opened just a crack. "Breakfast costs money," she said through the gap. "From now on, you're responsible for yourself. Rent's due next week. $50. But I'm 15. I don't have a job." "Then you better find one." She started to close the door, then paused. "Oh, and the bathroom's off limits during family time. 6 to 8 in the morning, 5 to 9 at night." The door slammed shut. I stood there in my wrinkled clothes from yesterday, processing what she'd just said. Rent? Bathroom restrictions? I was her son, not a tenant. Through the window, I watched Joe eat pancakes. Dad sat across from him, reading his newspaper like everything was normal. Neither of them looked toward the garage. When Dad left for work, I cornered him in the driveway. He was my last hope. Surely he would fix this madness. "Dad, please. You can't let her keep me in the garage." He sighed and looked around nervously, like Mom might be watching. "Son, you know how your mother gets. It's easier not to fight her when she's made up her mind. But I'm your son too." Dad reached into his wallet and pulled out a crumpled $5 bill. He pressed it into my hand like he was passing state secrets. "Don't tell your mother about this," he whispered. "And try to stay out of her way for a while. Maybe she'll cool down." He climbed into his car and drove away, leaving me standing in the driveway with $5 and the crushing realization that my own father wouldn't save me. I looked back at the house. Joe was getting ready for school, probably using the bathroom I was banned from. Mom was likely planning her day. That $5 felt heavy in my palm. It wasn't help. It was guilt money. It was Dad's way of saying he knew this was wrong. I was truly on my own. The worst part wasn't the cold or the smell or even the rats. It was listening to Mom talk about me to the neighbors like I was some troubled kid she was heroically trying to help. I had to move him to the garage, I heard her tell Mrs. Isaac over the fence. He was being so disruptive, keeping everyone awake. Sometimes you have to use tough love. Mrs. Isaac made sympathetic noises. That must be so hard for you, dealing with a difficult teenager. It is, Mom sighed dramatically. But he actually refused to sleep in the house anymore. Said he needed his independence. What could I do? I pressed my face against the garage window, watching this performance. Mom was crying now, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. I just hope he learns some gratitude, Mom continued. Some kids don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. My hands balled into fists. She was rewriting history right in front of me. Making herself the victim and me the ungrateful brat who chose to live in a garage. The lies came so easily to her. She delivered them with such conviction that I almost believed them myself. But I knew the truth. And someday, everyone else would too. My classmate Alex noticed me shivering during lunch. He was quiet, like me, and sat alone most days. "Are you okay?" he asked. "You look like you're freezing." I didn't know how to explain my situation without sounding crazy. Who would believe that a mother would lock her son in a garage? The next day, Alex brought me an old sleeping bag. "My family went camping last summer," he said. "We don't need this anymore." It was blue and puffy, with a cartoon bear on the zipper. The warmest thing I'd touched in weeks. "Thank you," I whispered, hugging it to my chest. That night, I spread the sleeping bag on the couch and felt actual warmth for the first time since being banished. I even slept through the night. The next morning, I woke up to smoke. Mom was standing in the backyard, throwing the sleeping bag into our fire pit. The cartoon bear's face melted and curled as flames consumed it. "If you want charity," she called to me through the window, "you can move in with them." I watched my only source of warmth turn to ash. Alex had been kind to me, and Mom had destroyed that kindness. That's when I understood something important. This wasn't about teaching me lessons. This was about control. I couldn't take it anymore. After 3 weeks in the garage, I ran away to Alex's house. His parents were surprised but kind, letting me sleep on their couch for 2 nights. For 48 hours, I remembered what it felt like to be warm, to eat regular meals, to use a bathroom whenever I needed it. Then Mom showed up at school. She burst into the principal's office during my math class, tears streaming down her face. By lunch, the whole school was talking about it. "I heard your mom was crying in the office," someone said. "She looked really upset." I found out what happened when Principal Carter called me to his office. Mom was there, tissue box in her lap, eyes red and puffy. "Your mother is very worried about you," he said gently. "She says you've been struggling lately, acting out, running away. She just wants to help." I stared at Mom in disbelief. She was staring back at me with this look of concerned love that might have fooled anyone. "Sometimes troubled teens need extra support," she said softly. "I'm just trying to do what's best for him." Principal Carter nodded sympathetically. "We'll work together to help him through this difficult time." Mom took me home. Straight to the garage. Winter hit hard that year. One night in December, my body started shaking and wouldn't stop. My head felt like it was on fire, but my skin was ice cold. I knocked on the house door, barely able to stand. "Mom, I'm sick. I think I have a fever." She opened the door and looked at me with disgust. "You look fine to me. Please, I need to see a doctor." "Something's wrong. If you wanted medical care, you shouldn't have disrespected me." She started to close the door, then paused. "And keep it down. Some of us have work." I spent that night curled up on the couch, delirious with fever. I hallucinated conversations with my grandmother, who had died when I was 10. She told me everything would be okay. When I woke up the next morning, my fever had broken, but something inside me had changed. The last tiny part of me that still hoped Mom might love me had died. I wasn't her son anymore. I was just an obstacle to remove. The realization hurt worse than any fever. But it also freed me from hoping for something that would never come. From that moment on, I started planning my escape. I found work at Murphy's Diner, washing dishes after school for cash under the table. Mrs. Murphy was old and didn't ask questions about why a 16-year-old needed money desperately. Every night, I stuffed my earnings into an envelope and hid it inside my old teddy bear, behind the stuffing in his back. After 2 months, I had saved $87. It wasn't much, but it felt like freedom. Then Mom found it. I came home from school to find her holding my teddy bear and my empty envelope. The bear's back was torn open, stuffing scattered across the garage floor. "Rent back pay," she said, waving my money. "You owe me for utilities too. Garage space isn't free. That's my money. I worked for that. Nothing in this house belongs to you," she snapped. "You want to keep money? Move out." She walked away with my $87, leaving me standing among the scattered remains of my childhood bear. That night, I carefully sewed my teddy bear back together. But I didn't put the money there anymore. I was learning that surviving required more than just working hard. It required being smarter than the people trying to destroy you. Mrs. Murphy noticed the bruises on my arms from carrying heavy boxes without help. She also noticed that I never bought food during my breaks, just drank water. "Son," she said one day after the dinner rush, "you got a bank account?" I shook my head. "You have to be 18. Not if an adult helps you." She wiped her hands on her apron. "Come with me tomorrow morning before school." The next day, we walked to the bank together. Mrs. Murphy told the teller I was her employee and needed a secure place for my wages. Within an hour, I had my own savings account. "Your money goes straight here," she said, handing me the bank card. "Don't tell anybody about this account. Not your friends, not your family. Nobody." She didn't ask why I needed to hide money from my own mother. She just understood that some kids need protecting, even from the people who are supposed to love them. For the first time in months, I felt a tiny spark of hope. I had an ally. Someone who saw what was happening. Mrs. Murphy became more than a boss. She became the mother figure I needed when my real mother had failed me completely. High school graduation day arrived like a light at the end of a tunnel. 4 years of sleeping in that garage, but I had made it. I was graduating with decent grades. The ceremony was at 10 in the morning. At 9:30, I stood by the front door in my cap and gown, waiting for Mom to drive me. 9:45 came and went. Then 10 o'clock. "Mom!" I called. "We're late." She appeared in the kitchen doorway, still in her bathrobe. "Late for what?" "My graduation. You said you'd drive me." She looked genuinely confused, like she had never heard about graduation before in her life. "Oh, that's today? I completely forgot." She shrugged. "I can't drive you now. I have a hair appointment." I stared at her, my cap tilting sideways. "Are you serious?" "Figure it out," she said, turning back toward the kitchen. "You're an adult now." I ran to the road and stuck out my thumb. A kind trucker picked me up and drove me to the school, asking no questions about why a boy was hitchhiking. I walked into the auditorium just as they called my name. The principal looked surprised to see me rushing across the stage. In the audience, Joe sat with Dad. Mom's seat was empty. The day after graduation, Mom handed me a black trash bag. "Your clothes," she said simply. "You're 18 now. Figure it out." I looked at the bag, then at the garage that had been my prison for 3 years. The couch where I'd shivered through countless nights. The coffee can still catch drips. "That's it?" I asked. "After 18 years, this is how you say goodbye?" She looked at me like I was a stranger asking for directions. "You wanted independence. Now you have it." The garage door rolled down behind me for the last time. I stood in the driveway with my trash bag of belongings, listening to her lock clicking. But instead of feeling scared, I felt something unexpected: relief. I was finally free. No more walking on eggshells. No more hiding money or food. No more pretending this woman loved me when she clearly didn't. I picked up my trash bag and walked toward town, toward Mrs. Murphy's diner, toward the first day of my real life. Behind me, I heard Joe's video game starting up and Dad's TV turning on. Life in that house would continue exactly as it had. They probably wouldn't even notice I was gone. My coworker Sam let me crash on his couch while I saved for my own place. It was a tiny apartment, but after years in a garage, it felt like a palace. 2 weeks later, the mail arrived with a surprise that made my blood boil. A credit card bill for $8,000. In my name. There must be some mistake, I told Sam, staring at the statement. I never applied for a credit card. But when I called the company, they confirmed it. The card had been opened when I was 16, using my social security number and a forged signature. I studied the charges. Furniture store. Electronics. Expensive restaurants. A vacation to Florida I never took. Mom had been building my debt for 2 years, buying herself a comfortable life while I slept in a garage. The customer service representative was sympathetic but firm. The card is in your name, so you're responsible for the debt. I hung up and stared at the bill. $8,000. With interest and late fees, it was growing every day. This wasn't just neglect anymore. This was theft. Mom had stolen my identity and my financial future before I even had a chance. Debt collectors started calling within a month. They didn't care that I was 18 and had never owned a credit card. They didn't care that I made minimum wage. We can set up a payment plan, one collector said. Just $50 a month for the next 30 years. 30 years of paying for Mom's vacation and furniture. 30 years of being punished for her crimes. I drove to the furniture store listed on the credit card statement. The manager remembered the purchase clearly. Middle-aged woman, blonde hair, he said, checking his records. Bought a whole living room set. Paid with this card. He showed me the receipt. That's not my signature, I told him. He squinted at it. Looks close enough. Sorry, but once the transaction's complete, it's between you and the credit card company. I visited every store on the list. Same story everywhere. Mom had used my stolen identity to furnish her house, take vacations, and buy expensive dinners. The vacation photos were the worst part. I found them online when I searched the Florida hotel listed on my bill. There was Mom, laughing on a beach. While I was sleeping in a garage, she was using my stolen credit to live like a queen. I worked 3 jobs to pay off Mom's debt. Dishwasher at Murphy's, weekend cleaner at an office building, and night shift at a gas station. Every dollar I earned went toward that credit card bill. For 3 years, I lived on ramen noodles and wore clothes from thrift stores while slowly chipping away. But something unexpected happened during those long work days. I got promoted. Mrs. Murphy made me assistant manager at the diner. The office building offered me a full-time cleaning supervisor position. The gas station promoted me to shift manager. You're the hardest worker I've ever seen, Mrs. Murphy told me on my 21st birthday. Most kids your age are partying. You're building something. She was right. While paying off Mom's debt, I had accidentally built a work ethic that impressed everyone around me. Managers noticed my reliability. By my 22nd birthday, I had paid off the entire $8,000. My credit score was recovering. I had money in savings. More importantly, I had learned something valuable. Being forced to work harder than everyone else had made me stronger than everyone else. Mom had tried to destroy my future, but she had accidentally forged me into someone unstoppable. The phone call came on a Tuesday evening, 5 years after I'd left home. I almost didn't answer when I saw Mom's number. "Hello, sweetheart," she said, like we had talked yesterday. Like nothing had ever happened. "What do you want?" I asked. That's no way to greet your mother. Her voice had that fake sweetness I remembered from when she wanted something. I'm calling with exciting news. We're moving. We? Your father and I, Joe's off at college now, so we're downsizing. Found the perfect little house in Millbrook. You know, that nice town about an hour away? I stayed silent, wondering where this was going. The thing is, she continued, we need to move quickly. The market's competitive. I was hoping you might help me research some properties online. I almost laughed. After years of silence, she wanted me to help her find a house. Sure, I said. I can help with that. Wonderful. I'll send you the listings I'm interested in. After we hung up, I stared at my phone. Mom needed my help. For the first time in my adult life, she needed something from me. And I was going to give her exactly what she deserved. I spent the next week pretending to be the helpful son, researching every house Mom sent me. I learned about neighborhoods, school districts, and property values. But most importantly, I learned exactly which house she wanted most. There's this one on Maple Street, she gushed during our third phone call. It's perfect. 3 bedrooms, beautiful kitchen, big backyard. I can already picture our furniture there. I looked up the property online. 442 Maple Street. Listed at $180,000. It had been on the market for 2 months. It sounds perfect, I told her. You should definitely put in an offer. We are. The realtor says it might sell quickly, though. So many people are interested. After she hung up, I called the listing agent. I'm interested in 442 Maple Street, I said. Is it still available? It is, but we have several interested parties. Are you pre-approved for a mortgage? I don't need a mortgage, I said. I'll pay cash. There was a pause. Cash? The full asking price? Above asking price. $200,000. And I can close next week. Within 2 hours, I owned Mom's dream house. I hired a property management company to handle the legal details. They set up an LLC called Millbrook Holdings to keep my name off public records. As far as anyone knew, some corporation had bought the house. On moving day, I parked across the street and watched Mom's drama unfold. The moving truck arrived first. Then Mom and Dad pulled up in their car, boxes packed and ready for their new life. Mom walked up to the front door with a big smile, probably imagining where she'd put her stolen furniture. I got out of my car and walked toward them. Excuse me, I called out. Are you the new tenants? Mom spun around, confusion replacing her smile. Tenants? We bought this house. I don't think so, I said, pulling out my phone. I'm the owner. This is a rental property. Dad squinted at me. Do we know you? I pulled off my sunglasses and smiled. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom. The color drained from Mom's face. F. Is house. We have a contract. You had a contract, I corrected. Until someone made a better offer. That someone was me. Dad looked confused. How could you afford to buy a house? You're just a what, Dad? Just the son you let sleep in a garage? Mom's face went through several expressions, shock, anger, and finally, the fake sweetness I knew so well. Sweetheart, this is wonderful. You own property now. But surely you don't expect your own parents to pay rent. Family takes care of each other. I almost laughed at the hypocrisy. Family takes care of each other? Is that what you call charging a 15-year-old rent? Stealing my identity? That was different, she said quickly. You were being difficult. But we're family. Family forgives. You're right, I said. Family does forgive. But landlords don't. Rent's due on the 1st of every month. $1,500. The moving truck driver was watching this whole exchange with fascination. He probably saw family drama every day, but this was special. "Ma'am," he called to Mom, "where do you want these boxes?" Mom looked at me with desperation. "Please. We can't afford $1,500 a month." "Then you better find somewhere else to live. You can't do this to us," Mom pleaded, her fake sweetness cracking. "We're your parents. We raised you. We fed you. We gave you a roof over your head." "A garage roof," I said. "With rats and no heat. That's the roof you gave me." Dad stepped forward. "Now hold on. Maybe we all said things we regret. But this is extreme." "Extreme?" I pulled out my phone and showed them a photo. "Remember this credit card bill? $8,000 in debt you put in my name when I was 16. Mom's face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." "The Florida vacation. The living room set you're probably planning to put in my house. I have receipts for everything." "That was just a loan," she said weakly. "I was going to pay it back." "When?" "It's been 7 years. You never even called to ask how I was doing until you needed my help." The moving truck driver cleared his throat. "Folks, I need to know where these boxes are going. I've got 3 more stops today." Mom looked at the boxes, then at me, then at the house she thought she had bought. 30 days, I said. "You have 30 days to decide if you want to pay rent or find somewhere else." "You would really throw your own mother out?" "You threw me out with a trash bag when I was 18. At least I'm giving you a month." That night, Mom called me 17 times. I let every call go to voicemail. Finally, I listened to her messages. They started angry, then became pleading, then desperate. "This is cruel and unusual. You're being vindictive. Please call me back. We can work something out. Your father is having chest pains from the stress. I'll tell everyone what kind of son you really are. No one will believe you were mistreated." That last message made me smile. She was still trying to control the narrative, still trying to make herself the victim. But I had learned something important over the years: the truth doesn't need defending. It just needs telling. I opened my laptop and started writing. My full story, from the first night in the garage to buying her dream house. Every detail, every lie. I posted it on social media with photos of the credit card bills, the garage where I slept, and the house deed with my name on it. "Some debts take years to collect," I wrote at the end. "But they're worth the wait." Within hours, my post had been shared hundreds of times. The comments started pouring in. "I remember you sleeping in that garage. I always wondered why your mom lied about it. She borrowed money from my family and never paid it back." The post went viral overnight. Thousands of shares, hundreds of comments from people who had witnessed Mom's behavior over the years. My phone rang again. This time it was Joe. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he said without preamble. "Everyone's calling Mom a monster because of your stupid post." "Is she? A monster?" "She made mistakes, but posting our family business online is psychotic. Take it down. Did you know she stole my identity and racked up $8,000 in debt when I was 16? Silence. "Joe? Did you know? That's between you and her. Did you know she made me sleep in the garage for 3 years? More silence. "I was just a kid," he finally said. "What was I supposed to do?" "Nothing. You were a kid. But you're not a kid now, and you're still choosing to protect her instead of acknowledging what she did. She's our mom. She's your mom. She stopped being mine the night she locked me in that garage. I hung up and checked my post again. The story was being picked up by local news sites. The comments kept coming, painting a picture of a woman who had bullied neighbors and co-workers. People were sharing their own stories of Mom's cruelty. A pattern emerged of someone who targeted the vulnerable. Mom's boyfriend Silas called me the next day. I had never met him, but he had moved in after Dad left the previous year. "Your mother is a good woman," he said. "She's been through a lot. You posting her business online is cruel. Did she tell you about the garage?" She explained that situation. "You were acting out, being disrespectful. Sometimes tough love is necessary. Tough love is taking away privileges. Abuse is making a child sleep with rats." "You're exaggerating," he said confidently. "I know your mother. She would never hurt a child." I laughed bitterly. "How long have you known her, Silas?" 3 years. I lived with her for 18 years. Which one of us do you think knows her better? She showed me photos of your childhood. Birthday parties, Christmas mornings. You looked happy. She took those photos for other people to see. Show me photos of the garage, Silas." There was a long pause. "You don't understand the full situation," he said finally. "I understand it perfectly. The question is, now that you know the truth, what are you going to do?" "I'm going to support the woman I love." "Then you're supporting someone who abuses children. Good luck with that." The eviction notice was served on day 31. Mom had not paid rent, had not moved out, and had not responded to my calls. The sheriff's deputy knocked on the door at 9 in the morning. I watched from my car as Mom answered, probably expecting Silas. Her face crumpled when she saw the official papers. She called me immediately. "Please don't do this," she sobbed. "I'm your mother. You had 30 days to figure it out. We don't have anywhere to go." Silas left me when people started calling him. "I lost my job because of your post. Everyone thinks I'm a monster." "Are you?" "What? Are you a monster, Mom?" "Because I've been asking myself that question for years. A mother who makes her child sleep in a garage, steals his identity." "I made mistakes," she whispered. "No, Mom. Forgetting to pick up milk is a mistake. What you did was deliberate and sustained abuse. You destroyed my childhood and tried to destroy my future. But you're successful now. You own a house. You turned out fine. I turned out fine despite you, not because of you. Every good thing in my life happened after I escaped that garage." The line went quiet except for her crying. "I'll garnish your wages for back rent," I said finally. I hired contractors to renovate the house. The first thing they did was convert the garage into a beautiful guest suite with heating, a private bathroom, and a kitchenette. "This is going to be stunning," the contractor said. "Perfect for hosting family or renting out." I walked through the space, imagining what it could have been if Mom had just treated me like a human being. The renovation took 3 months. When it was finished, I rented the guest suite to a college student named Chris whose parents had kicked him out. "The rent is $400 a month," I told him during the tour. "But there's one condition. If you're ever in trouble, if you ever need help, you call me." Chris's eyes filled with tears. "Why are you being so nice to me?" "Because someone should have been nice to me when I was your age." He moved in the next week. Within a month, he had transformed the space with plants and artwork. It looked like a home, not a prison. The main house, I kept empty. Sometimes I would sit in the living room and imagine Mom putting her stolen furniture there. But mostly, I just felt peace. 2 years later, I was driving through Millbrook when I saw a familiar figure behind the counter of a fast food restaurant. Mom looked older, tired, wearing a uniform. She didn't see me, but I sat in the parking lot and watched her work. Taking orders, counting change, dealing with impatient customers who probably had no idea about her past. I felt something I hadn't expected, nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no gloating. Just a quiet recognition that we had both ended up exactly where we belonged. I drove past the house on Maple Street. Chris was in the garden, planting flowers. He waved when he saw my car. Silas had been right about one thing: I had turned out fine. Better than fine. I owned property, had money in the bank, and was helping a kid. But he was wrong about why. It wasn't because of Mom's tough love. It was because some people are strong enough to survive terrible parents and wise enough to become better ones. I drove home to my own house, bought with money I earned, filled with furniture I chose, warm and safe and mine. Some debts can't be paid in money. But freedom? That's a currency everyone can understand. And I had collected mine in full.